Hi, thanks for sticking around for this last segment of my conversation with Bron Watson. Bron is a wife, mother of 5 boys, an entrepreneur, an educator, and an influencer, plus a cancer survivor, as you've heard if you've watched the previous episodes. She believes you can find success despite adversity when you have faith in yourself and you take it 1% at a time. We're going to learn a little more about what she means by that in a moment. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, and this is part of my continuing series of conversations with brilliant, resilient women like Bron, who have inspiring stories to tell and who are role models for the rest of us when it comes to learning to thrive. Bron, thank you so much for being so transparent and vulnerable as you shared your story with us.
Thank you. It's yes, it's fun and it's interesting, but that's part of the lesson, is to speak, is to be a voice.
And being able to tell your story. So we promised our viewers that you would share the lessons you learned that help you today live life in a new way. Help us understand, first of all, what you mean by 1% at a time, and then share more nuggets of wisdom so the rest of us can learn from you.
Okay, so I don't know how much you guys have looked into productivity and ways of doing things, and there's always do this and do that and 5 things for the week and 3 things for the day. For me, going through adversity, going through the treatment of breast cancer, it wasn't possible to follow any kind of system because I never knew what the day would be like. It could be one of the days that I ran on high energy due to dexamethasone, or it could have been the day that I was nauseated and couldn't move. And what I came up with the 1% was, just for today, just do one thing, 1% of something. So it was a choice to choose to do something, because as you and I both know, doing nothing is still a choice, but it's choosing just 1%. So it meant that for me, in my state of vulnerability, that I only had that 1% of something to focus on, rather than the huge big picture. Big pictures are great. We need visions, we need purpose, we need all of those things. But when you're in the thick of adversity, it's very, very difficult to go 5 years in advance, because for me, it was just too difficult. So rather than focus on the bigger things, which I still had in place, I brought it back to something that was doable, because I wanted to achieve something for me. And it could have been drinking water, 1%, because 1% plus 1% adds up to many percents. And if we all just focus on just one small percent at a time, it's doable and achievable. And rather than the overwhelm that kicks in when you're developing something bigger. I'm not saying those productivity tools and that those things are not great, because they are. I still use them to this day. But just for today, I have my 1%, and that's my thing. And that's what I achieved.
Yeah, that's a brilliant strategy when things are not going your way.
Yeah.
When something happens that you didn't choose.
Yeah.
And it could be, I'm just thinking about some of my clients. It's a brilliant strategy I intend to share with them. I'm going to shamelessly steal it from you. I love it. I talk about baby steps, but when you put it in those terms, 1% at a time, and when you do 1%, and then you do another 1%, as you say, it adds up. It is so much more manageable when you think about it in those terms. So whether you have, the loss of a loved one, you've gone through a divorce, you just lost your job, whatever that adversity is, taking it down to a manageable level so that you still feel like you're doing something and you're choosing to move forward in ever so slightly a small step. I love that. I think it's a brilliant strategy.
Yeah, that's it.
What else?
Yeah. As I said, just for today, go with what you love. You hear it a lot, especially in the business world. Go and do a business with your passion. Easier said than done, might I add. But when you find your thing, you embrace it, because I could, as I said, I had a choice. I could have chosen not to learn anything from that experience, or I can choose to go, man, I'm giving it everything I've got today. I had a lot of people say to me, oh my goodness, Bron, you're so strong. And my quote is, you don't know how strong you are until you have no choice. I just did what I had to do to survive, because I survived. It was all survival. Even the 1%, we're surviving, because the surviving at 1% equals thriving, but you just don't know it at the time, because for me, I was so physically ill, let alone, so it depends, whatever your adversity is, it's staying on it's knowing that that's what you can do. What else? Let me think. I've completely lost my train of thought.
That's okay. I'll give you a second. I think that's another great tip for people. And again, it doesn't even necessarily pertain to business. Do what you love in business. But when you are feeling, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling loss or grief, if you just go out and do something you love, like walk in nature,
exactly,
or take a bubble bath, or that self-care thing, doing things that you love to do, even though you are ill. And maybe you can't go for a walk because you're so ill. But read a great book. Whatever it is for you, do something that you love to do so that it just feeds your soul a little bit.
I would go, I live right near the beach here in Port Macquarie, and I would go to the beach just to put my feet in the water, to feel the sand, to feel the water, because obviously Mother Nature is so healing. And what that did was, even if it was for literally 20 meters, I'm kidding you, I took photos when I went, because I wanted to remind myself of where I was and where I am now. And standing on the beach and just letting the water lap over my feet, going, I'm healing right now. That is so powerful, and it's a 1%er. So it's just doing something that's right for you. It could be sitting outside, it could be enjoying a cup of tea with a view, it doesn't, you could live in a city and still feel the same, but it's the present. It really is the present. And listen to the lessons that come. Listen to what you learn, because we all learn something, and it is a choice to learn it. Compared to the old Bron, the old would have gone, oh wow, can't wait to tell everyone what I've learned, whereas the new Bron is going, I'm just demonstrating, this is what I'm doing, this is what I've learned. If you'd like to learn more, hey, ask. If you don't, that's totally cool. It's a completely different way of looking at the learning, because I'm learning, and I continue to learn for myself. And when you least feel like getting out and doing something, Mother Nature heals all wounds. It really does.
When I am feeling, I'm having kind of a bad day, and I, admittedly have not had thank the dear Lord, the kind of experience you have with health issues. But when I'm just having a blue day, I love going to my backyard with a glass of wine or a cup of tea and especially at sundown and listening to all the birds going
Oh,
to bed. They are chattering and chirping, and it just, you're right, it's just taking yourself down to the moment and just being, like you said before. I think that's so important. Did you get your train of thought back?
I did.
All right, give us another.
Okay, so my next advice would be is to really, really focus on what you can control and what you can't. It's written around, it's bandied around, it's in a million different books, but live it. Live it every day. Is it something you can control or is it something you can't? I can't control whether cancer comes back. I can't stop a mutating cell. I can do everything from a health perspective, from a mindset perspective, but it's something that I actually can't control. I can do loads to minimize it. So I can either focus on, oh my goodness, is it going to come back? Is it going to come back? Or go, just for today, I know I'm cancer free. I know I'm doing the best I can today because I don't know what tomorrow holds. I don't know what next year holds. But today, I'm great. And it's a choice. I can choose. So it's really focusing on and put it into any perspective of what's happening in your life. Whether you lose a job, you can't control that. It's gone. It's what you do with what's next in terms of how you use that to grow. I don't want to use the word benefit, but to grow, because wherever we're growing, we're learning, we're going from that survival to thriving, and you can thrive while you're surviving. And it's really, I cannot stress enough the importance of learning what you can control and what you can't. Can't control people, you can't control loads of things. And that wasted energy when you don't have a lot, use it for yourself. Put it into yourself, because that's where I believe we do then benefit. We then just become so much more for ourselves, but then that in turn goes towards our friends, our family, our communities. So that's another little tip.
Yeah, that, it's so important, and we do hear it a lot. Don't stop trying to control what's out of your control, what's out of your power to control, and control what you can. And the truth of the matter is, I believe, is the only thing we truly can control is us. It's ourselves, right? I can control me. I can control how I respond to any situation, adverse or otherwise. And you're right. It is a choice, and we can mire ourselves in the muck when we are trying to control everything around us, when it's just not ours to control. It's not ours to control. And just acknowledging that and being good with that. And that, for those of us, I'm a recovering perfectionist, admittedly. I've tried for a very long time. I was in a second marriage for way too long, trying to change the dynamic of the marriage. And I was trying to change him. And, I'll never forget what my first coach said to me. What makes you think you can turn an apple into an orange? Trying to control something that's out of my control. So yeah, that's another great tip to share. And I so appreciate that you brought that one up, because I think it's a very important message for others to learn.
It's a tough one too, though, very tough, because when you're in the thick of something adverse, it's like a free fall. For me, I would always think, right, cool, so we've had surgery, we're going to be going this way, and then something would happen and I'd get swung to the left. So I kept taking all these left turns, and I'm setting the GPS to go, I want the straight bit of road over here, so I could feel comfortable, because I like things. I like to know what's coming next. I'm not one to go, oh, I love surprises. No, we don't love surprises. So I kept having these left turns, and I would scramble trying to to come to terms and try to make sense and try to control, or try to bring it into something where I could understand it or process it. And it's a really tough one to know that that's when you can't control it, and it's taking responsibility for how you feel and then what you do with that situation, because it's out of control and you can't stop it. I can't stop that I'm going to be allergic to chemo and then I'm going to get given a stack of extra drugs and it's going to make you even sicker. But I can go, well, okay, I'm going to manage it today because I know that I'm just going to get really sick before I get really better. And, you know, it's only like today, it's what are we now? It's April, end of April. I didn't finish my treatment until May. So it's next month, May, will be 1 year since the end of my treatment. And I think, wow, that's not a very long time. And it feels like a lifetime, but it's not. And I think that's the thing, when you stop projecting, when you just keep it to today, and you just keep that second gear going, even when you're wanting to go to third and fourth and top gear, you keep into that second gear, because then you can go, right, what's really going on here? What's this? Is this something that I can look out for myself? Can I control this? Yes or no? It's just that one question. Can you? Yes or no? If it's a no, don't feed it energy. Doesn't mean you don't get scared. Doesn't mean you don't get sad. But you can choose to go, well, I'm choosing to focus on this.
I love that. Ask yourself one question. Can you control it? Yes or no? Yeah. And if it's no, as hard as that is, let it go. And focus on you. Let it go and focus on you. You're right. It's very hard. That is a practice. That is a practice I'm still working on. I think we're all working on. Everyone works on that. And some people haven't learned to work on it, but it's something worthy of working on, I believe.
Oh, 100%. You know, over the years, a lot of people say, oh, Bron, just let it go. And I never understood. It was like I was in a different paradigm. I just could not understand what letting go meant. Like I was just going, man, I don't understand. What does that mean? And what I learned for me was letting go wasn't doing something. It wasn't doing, it was being. Yeah. Because if I'm in the present, I've actually let go, but I didn't know that I'd let go. Yeah. And being in second gear means that I am a lot more aware, which means I'm automatically letting go, but I didn't realize it. So I used to think that letting go was a thing you had to do.
You know, I'm so glad you said that.
You don't have to do it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. That is a beautiful distinction to make. Letting go is just letting you be.
Yes, that's it.
Letting you be. Yeah.
It took 49 years for me to realize it. So if there's nothing else, I'm super excited to realize that, because I now no longer have this hang up, or whatever you want to call it, around letting go, because I always thought it was something you had to do. Yeah. You don't have to do anything. That's the point, is that you don't do anything. You just be.
Yeah, I'm so glad we got to that point, because it's an important one. Yeah. And you know, I write about letting go all the time, and I talk about it a lot. It's something that I have been practicing for myself for a long time. But you're right. I'm so glad you said that. It's not something you do. It's just you being. Yeah. On that note, I am sure there are going to be lots of people who want to get in touch with you, because they want to hear more of your story. They want your energy. I would love for you to share how they can best get in touch with you.
Sure. Well, come find me on Facebook, which is I am Bron Watson is my name. So facebook.com/I am Bron Watson. And please pop by my website. So www.bronwatson.com. Send me an email, bron@bronwatson.com. I'm more than happy to talk and chat to anyone in this space, because it's so important for business life, however you want to live. And you know what? Thanks for having me, Maria. It's actually been a lot better than I thought it would be. So it's been good. Not that I thought it would be bad, but it was like, wow. So it's cool.
I am so happy. I am just delighted that you joined us from Australia. It was a bit of a challenge to find a good time for you and for me to talk, since we are, I don't know, some godly number of hours. You're ahead. You're tomorrow already.
I'm tomorrow. I'm Tuesday morning.
Yeah, I am so glad that you joined us. I'm so glad that we were introduced. I always tell people that they will be inspired by these conversations, and the truth is, I am often, almost always, the first one to be inspired, and this conversation is no different. Your message, Bron, to find success despite adversity and doing it 1% at a time, are powerful messages to leave with us. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you all for being part of our community and for watching this episode with Bron Watson. This series of conversations is inspired by my latest book, Upside Down to Right Side Up, Turning Transition into Triumph. My book, the articles I write, and these conversations are intended to share stories from the heart and life strategies that can help others. I invite you to share them with the women in your life, so none of us will ever feel like we are alone ever again. Many of us have gone through similar experiences, and we're here to support you. I believe it's our time to thrive. Will you join me on that ride? I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan. Till next time.